another point with classism and the DC movement, and you might think this is a bit of a weird tangent. My mother and father-in-law died recently. It's been a fun time, and I suggested to my husband, and at the beginning of the hell month, that maybe they wanted to get in contact with our local charities that helped maybe the homeless and, the women's refuge. But unfortunately, my husband and my brothers and his brothers are very middle class. So they've opted for a charity that helps people abroad. And apparently I'm in the wrong for being pissed off. I mean, like, they have a whole house worth of stuff to get rid of, and this could set up like 2 or 3 families out of refuge. But no, it's all going to an international charity. Go for it, Ghastly.
I mean, I would just question the premise for your argument there, that
they just don't see that there's this underclass in the town that they grew up in.
Yeah, but there's an underclass
that rely
globally,
on this.
There's an underclass globally as well as in your own town. Yeah, I don't think those two things are mutually exclusive.
They just don't see that there's. It's like, oh no, we'll help people abroad. We'll do this, we'll do that. Yes, I'm very environmentalist, but I'll get an AstroTurf lawn. Yes, we'll help people abroad with all of this, but
having AstroTurf
having a charity that because this charity that I wanted them to donate to actually set me up in my first 2 flats.
Yeah, so
on
you
my
personally
own,
want
especially
to help them back.
Yeah, and they help with everything from like cutlery.
Yeah, well,
they just give it you.
That's fantastic. But
they just want to give it to a charity that sells it. It's a very big disconnect for me.
Yeah, but you're yeah, okay. Well, one has to be a little bit careful about being very localized about your generosity. I'm not sure that's a middle class thing, really. I just don't think it is.
Okay, so Ghastly, do you want to say something, and then hopefully Amanda will check back in, or we'll hear from her. Okay.
Yes, hopefully Amanda will, who's I'm a huge admirer of. She's a great person. What I'd say is, I know I have a really annoying voice. That doesn't mean I'm any different to anyone else. And I get constantly vilified because of the way I speak. But ultimately, I'm on the side of women, and certainly my revulsion from the luxury beliefs that, it doesn't affect you. It doesn't affect you. It's like, that affects the women in prison, locked up with men. It affects women who are thrown out of their jobs. It affects women trying to, just with their children, just trying to go to a swimming bath. It affects everyone.
Obviously, I'm actually deaf, and I'm quite open about that. It's just one aspect of me, and I don't give much thought to it. But I actually learned to speak in 2015, and I went through speech and language therapy. And I kind of have this nowhere hybrid accent. I'm really down south. I'm from the Isle of Wight, small island off the south coast. But something that's really, really grated on me, I have had people kind of mock my voice, and some of the speakers at one of them at LGBA today has actually openly mocked my speech, and I'm just like, yeah, that's really it kind of highlights the issue we're talking about.
I don't associate anyone's accent with their political views or their position. I never have. But it would be really silly of me to just And I mean, seriously, posh people definitely adopt the odd estuary accent. I mean, because miss off the H and the T every now and again. I just find it really nauseating. Just be whoever you are. I'm not a liberal. I'm left wing in the sense that I believe in the collective. I think socially we work really well as a big group. And the vast majority of people in this country don't believe that men can be women or men can be anything other than men. It's just common sense. And I have a huge regard for general common sense amongst the vast majority of people. Otherwise, we wouldn't have survived so long on the planet. So I'm
all for anything other than men. Yeah.
Of course, aren't we all? Well, I was yes. I was sort of, I'd silenced. I mean, I'm a heterosexual woman, but I was silenced in another space because I said, but well, they should just all have their sperm frozen, and then be not necessarily physically castrated, but drug castrated, like you do with dogs. We give them implants, don't we? But freeze their sperm if they want to reproduce. That's fine. And then we'd have far less testosterone in the world, and we'd have fewer wars, and generally the world would be a more peaceable place, which is why we castrate pretty much all animals. Domestic animals.
Cut the balls off.
Well, one doesn't. Well, I know it sounds a little bit violent, so one doesn't have to cut their balls off, but one could just you can, as women, lots of women have implants, don't they, to stop them becoming pregnant. I mean, huge numbers of women take the contraceptive pill. Huge numbers of women will wear a coil. Huge numbers of women take hormone implants to stop them becoming pregnant.
Yeah, but they won't do that to men.
The idea that men should take a hormone implant to stop them being so bloody violent is horrific to people, and I don't understand why. To me, it makes a huge amount of sense.
Quarantine somewhere. That's one of the problems, isn't it? Lockdown ended. Pity we can't keep on quarantining the men.
I'm also not sure what the thing is about or whatever it is. So I'm just going to go with the title that says Classism and the GC movement. No matter what class you might be born into, you're still going to have problems. You're still going to have, whether it's narcissistic mothers, drunk fathers, whatever the fuck it is, right? You're going to face the same sort of problems, as a child. But certain things might be a lot easier, like having food, like just lots of different things, when you talk about classism, when the people in the most poverty-riven places in the most deprived areas, we already know that from statistics about, what happens. And so I don't really care if someone speaks posh. I have a lot of friends who are either lawyers or doctors or whatever, and I mean it in real life, right? Not Twitter friends, and they speak very politely and whatever, but they're my friends. When it comes to kind of the classism thing, I think a lot of the times, as you said, you'll just assume because somebody has a certain accent that they come from a certain background or whatever. And so what happens on these spaces is they give these people more of a platform and more of a time to speak, and they will listen more and they will pay attention more because these people have a certain accent. That doesn't mean that it's the person with the accent's fault. This is just society where people will listen to certain people who speak a certain way. That's just the way it is. What I'm saying is people who don't speak the proper way when it comes to classism or whatever it is, and we're not judging people, let's not pretend that we don't judge people by their accents and that we don't listen to people more based on their accents. Maybe they're easier to listen to or whatever it is, right? But you will be more fucking oppressed with a fucking working class street accent than you ever will be, with a posh accent. When it comes to these spaces and people talk about classism, it always seems to be
Yeah, I do hope. I've never been in a space when I thought my voice was more important than yours, Amanda. I hope that hasn't ever happened. I'm sure it has happened to you.
No, you weren't one of the culprits. Don't worry. And it's much more easier to get to know somebody in a space, or like if it's on Twitter, right, instead of reading their tweets. But the thing is, there's so many people, mostly of fucking, when you're talking about classism, want to have all these spaces and drum up all this shit, right, and talk about me. But as soon as I open a space, right, and I say, well, come and say it, come and say it to my face, come in. Nobody comes. Nobody that gets anything to say to me comes in. Nobody that's talked shit about me comes in. They don't come in. That tells me a fucking hell of a lot. Do you know what I mean? They will go into every other single
Well, I mean,
place.
it's very easy to sit from a PC and make comments about somebody who's never going to answer you, isn't it?
But,
I mean,
but
that makes them very brave.
But Dr. Louise, I'm talking about like people from our own side, right? My name is Amanda on here because I was fucking doxed by somebody who's supposed to be a feminist. Like, the most shit I've had on here is
Self-identified feminist.
from these people that are, feminists or rad fems or whatever class of feminists or whatever they call themselves, right? I've had more shit on here from women who claim to be feminists than any cunt else. See, because I'm the big, bad, aggressive criminal, right? I am the big, bad, aggressive criminal, right? I thought to myself, do you know what? Fuck yous. Like, because it was like everything I try and do, like whether I was trying to train to be a primary school teacher, everything in my heart and soul to any job I would want to do is about helping vulnerable people, and mostly children, right? But apparently now that I'm a big bad criminal, I'm not allowed to work with these people or help these people, so that's fine. And I thought, I'm as petty as you, like with your doctor thing, but you're obviously, you didn't do it for petty reasons. But I thought to myself, do you know what? I'm just going to do a fucking open degree and do a PhD, right? So that I can be called doctor. I don't even need to work with anybody or do anything, but I will literally burst my balls for like 10 years just to piss people off. Like, here you go, here's the criminal that's called a doctor, and now you're going to need to call me doctor, right? So I can get that whole level of petty, but obviously that's not why you done that. But I can get the doubling down as well by going, well, I'm just going to keep that up there.